All right, good evening, Who Dat Nation. Welcome to the WDN Chatline podcast. It's the host CB, and I hope you guys enjoyed the 2023 NFL Draft. What our Saints brought to the table by drafting the players I'm going to go over. Hope you guys had fun watching our team address needs that I felt like the team needed to address, as well as welcoming the new guys aboard. So, good job to Dennis Allen. Once again, you go back a few shows ago, even the last show, I was saying that defensive line was a need going into this draft, and surely did we hit those needs. Now, just a reminder, we all know how NFL draft goes. This is not a free agent pool where you just getting a bunch of established NFL players in their prime. This is the NFL draft. These is guys that had excellent college careers with their respective teams, whether the division was weak, undrafted guys. All these guys that was in the draft had good seasons with their teams. Like I said, ranging from Alabama, Clemson, all the way to the lowest of lowest colleges in the nation. So we don't know what we're going to expect with these guys. All we can do is go based off of what we're seeing with our own eyes, what draft scouts have told us about the particular player, and just hope that what the New Orleans Saints brought in is going to produce for us. But anyway, happy Sunday to everyone. Just finished catching that Warriors game, man. That Warriors game was definitely a great game. Had to catch that first. I was definitely going to get on this weekend. Got tired up watching the draft, and then after that, just had other things going on. But what I'm going to do this evening won't be a very long show. I will open the phone lines up. You guys please call in, give your thoughts on our picks. Definitely want to have that interaction. But I'm only going to first pick, random picks. Just in the draft picks we had. But I will say, guys like Jake Hefner, maybe the receiver we have could possibly step up. The one out of Wake Forest could step up and give us some good production, maybe get himself into the rotation. We'll see. I seen a tweet about Traquan. He could possibly push Traquan on the bubble. We'll see. Hopefully that happens, because we know what Traquan has provided for us. A game here and there, he'll play he's like that. And then other than that, he hasn't been getting us production. But anyway, that's what the show is going to consist of. Like I said, I'm going to open the phone lines up. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. But before we do that, I definitely want to get to the comment section. Let me go ahead and do that. And I want to apologize for just popping up. I was supposed to come on last night, got caught up on something. So you guys, please forgive me for that. And I also want to shout out to It's Poppy 504. Said, what's good, what you found? Shout out to Miss Anna. Said, who that fam? Hey, CB. What's up with you, Miss Anna? Also said Steph got 50. Yeah, that was a spectacular game. I had to catch it. I knew it was going to be a good game. But, yes, that's what we're going to do tonight. So for the ones that, catch this, please tune in, and hopefully by the time I finish evaluating these guys, a few more people will be in that can call and give me your thoughts on these picks. Now, let's go ahead and start with our first overall pick. The New Orleans Saints selected Brian Bresee, defensive lineman out of Clemson, defensive tackle. He played defensive tackle. Now, I will say before I start reading the scout report, I got the scout report from bleacherreport.com. I'm gonna be honest. When I draft these scouts, I do my own personal draft, but I don't have enough time to really watch play from play with all these scouts. So I'm just taking, nuggets from certain scouting reports, and then, see if I can see what they're talking about in some of these games. On YouTube, they have a few of these games where they do play-by-play with these guys. But let's start out with Brian Bresee, defensive tackle out of Clemson. It was a few reactions with this guy. Some good, some bad. A lot of the guys was looking, at his expression and stuff, the way he was smiling, maybe thinking, this is a good guy. He really don't have that dog in him. I'm not gonna go that far. You really can't just go off how somebody look as to if they had that dog in them. Because when I really start watching this guy tape, and everybody from the undrafted guy all the way up to the number 1 pick, Bryce Young, the highlights is gonna look nasty. We already know that everybody's highlight tape is gonna look real. So I really just don't go based off of highlights, because the highlights gonna look good. But let's just go ahead and go to this. He was the number 3 rated defensive lineman by a lot of scouts coming into this draft, behind Khalil Kancey at number 2, and of course Jalen at number 1. So that's not bad company to be in. So I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit of this scouting report. We know he's 6'5", 298. He played in 10 games in 2022. Now, this guy has an interesting story. When I say I'm not talking about the death of his little sister. I'm just talking about the adversity. Him being able to overcome adversity, that's interesting to see. We're going to start out with, the death of his little sister that battled brain cancer. All of this occurred while he was playing for Clemson. So we got to think of what this guy was going through, what he had to experience. He had to experience the death of his little sister at Clemson. Had to play through that. He also had to play through a torn ACL and also a kidney situation. I don't know if it was an infection or something, but he had an injury with his kidney. I know he missed 2 games with that, the torn ACL, and then the loss of his little sister. That's a lot of adversity that a guy has to climb and overcome, especially when you're in college. When you're in college, you're trying to fight and grind to try to get to the next level. He came out of high school, if I'm not mistaken, he was the number 1 player in his class coming into Clemson. So you got that chip on your shoulder. They expect you to come in Clemson and eventually be starting and dominate. So you got that chip on your shoulder, and then you start getting hit with adversity, real life stuff. So kudos to this guy for, having great adversity, being able to overcome, obstacles like that. No one, but we have to deal with it at some point. And like I said, dealing with it at that time, he was able to overcome that, excuse me. So I'm gonna just read out some of his numbers that he was able to accomplish while dealing with that and overcoming it. His 40-yard dash was a 4.86 at the combine. His vertical was a 29. And some positives that Bleacher Report took away from this guy: he has quick reaction off of the ball. So he has a great first step. On the defensive line, offensive line, whoever it is, offense, defense, that person wants to have the first step. If you're able to put hands on the guy first, you have a very good chance of winning that matchup. So he has a great reaction off of the ball. That's a good thing. He's very good in his hands. If you look at, I was looking at some of his I ain't gonna say it was highlights. It was like a little camp he was at before he got to Clemson. And if you see that video, it was him along for a bunch of linemen. They were just doing a lot of drills, one-on-one drills. He is very good at using his hands. It translated over into Clemson, and he was able to dominate his opponents. Very good at using his hands. Has a nice swim move that was successful, clearing offensive linemen. Like I said, that's if you think of hand utilization. Cam Jordan is very good at using his hands. This guy also is very good at using his hands. Hopefully that can translate over to the NFL, especially we're most likely going to be using him at the 3 technique. For him to be able to have that size and weight on him, able to be athletic, can move quick with his body, that's going to be a very good trait on our defensive line. He also has great power and solid bend. So once again, for that size and weight, being able to have that bend, of course he had power to him. I think he had 22 reps on the bench press. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid for a guy his size. Nice arm length and stuff, and able to do that. That's pretty decent. Now, some negatives they took away from him is that he plays with high pad level. Given his size, I mean, you can kind of get that from a lot of these tall players that, they have high pad level. Something like that, I believe, can be worked on going into the NFL. That's not an athletic ability, for us being able to play with high pad level or stand low. That's something that with constant work with these defensive coaches, being around great mentors like Cam, I believe that's something that can be fixed quickly. And honestly, before this season gets started, I believe pad level is something that can be fixed ASAP. Widen his hands placements at times, which allow offensive linemen to get inside his chest. He has long arms, so I mean, yeah, that can probably happen at times, where his hand utilization, was wide, and that allowed these offensive linemen, they're trying to get inside your chest. That's a great placement. The offensive lineman is trying to put his hands and get underneath them pads to win the matchup. So that's something I believe he can fix coming into this league, because once he sees that these great offensive linemen is going to take advantage of getting inside his chest, I believe he will fix that. And like I said, these two negatives right here, these are things that can be fixed. Now, like if he had stiff hips and stuff like that's not a negative for his. Him having stiff hips and stuff, those things is like a skill set. Having stiff hips, that's something that it's going to take time to fix stiff hips and stuff. You got to yoga and all that kind of stuff. But pad level and hand placement, those things can get fixed with just a lot of repetition. Being around some guys that's great at hand placement and hand utilization, staying low. Cam Jordan can provide that type of, experience in helping him with that. Stops his feet on contact against the run at times. So to me, that's basically saying, if it's some place where the offensive lineman may get a hold of him, he stops. He gives up on the play. That is also something that can be fixed. Just play through the whistle. Simple. Don't stop using your feet. Just continue chopping your feet. Whether the offensive lineman get a hold of you or not. Stopping your feet through that. I don't think that's nothing serious to be worried about. And like I said, this was nothing that constantly happened. This was just some things that you could see here and there. And like I said, can give up at times if his moves aren't working. He's a high tackler. Given his size, I could see that. And you can see that with a lot of these linemen. If he can, I mean, you don't never want your guys tackling high because it's easy for the whoever has the ball, especially a running back, to slip out of those high tackles. But if he's able to bring the guy down, and once again, this is something doing tackling drills, staying low with your tackles. These is fundamentals and drills that teams do. This is things that I can believe that this fella can get right. It's just some basic fundamentals that he had to tweak with his game. And I believe that he can do that and get better. Just looking at, and like I said, the highlights is going, of course, when any player is going to show them doing it. But we got to look at the type of competition he was going up against. You know, he in the, of course, he in the ACC. That's a good conference, but they play SEC opponents as well, Big Ten opponents. This guy was dominating in these games. So, like I said, we seen this guy know how to fight through adversity. So if he comes into the league, let's just say he has a slow start, I believe he can, you know, navigate through that, get better. Defensive tackle, the 3 technique, I don't know who they plan on having beside him. Obviously, your first round pick, they see this guy come in being a day one starter. So that's the expectations I'm going to have for him. His expectations I'm going to, that I know the team is going to have for him to come in and be a defensive tackle. Now, like I said, I believe it's going to be the 3 technique where he's going to be placed at. Don't know who's going to be opposite of him. We'll see. We'll see. But once again, man, shout out to this guy. And let me go to the comment section, see if you guys have any thoughts on this guy. I want to give a shout out to Jerry. I see the OG tapping in. Who that what you fam? Give him a shout out to the podcast. Shout out to Trav504 said, who that everybody? Jerry said, love these picks we got. Yes, absolutely love this pick. And a lot of people were surprised that Brucey fell all the way to 29. A lot of draft scouts had this guy going between, 10 to 20 range. Miss Anna said, we touched on every position I wanted. Absolutely, Miss Anna. For the most part, every position. I mean, defensive lineman, that was my main position. We'll see how things pan out with that. But right now, we know we have 2 exceptional starters. Now, as far as the depth, we're going to see. We're going to see who's going to be that guy. Will DeMarco Jackson step up? We will see. But the defensive line was looking shabby. And if these guys don't come in and provide, it could still look shabby. But, I got some high expectations for Brucey. And I'm going to be honest with Brucey. Prior to the draft, of course, I seen him play. I seen him play a few games in Clemson because, I'm in the Carolina. So these games, the Clemsons, the Georgias, the UNC, a lot of ACC games get broadcast in my region. So I was able to see, a few of these games. He played he done exceptionally well. But I didn't see us getting him. I thought he was going to be gone before we got to 29. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next pick. Once again, shout out to Brian Breesy. We're going to embrace you. Hopefully you come in, provide us great service. So let's go ahead and get to the next guy. And round 2 at pick 40, the New Orleans Saints selected Isaiah Foskey, defensive end, out of Notre Dame. Isaiah Foskey, this is an interesting pick. And I'm gonna shout out Dolph from Keeping It Real podcast. When I was doing the segment on Kalijah Cansey, and I'm gonna be honest, I want us to get Cansey. He kind of fell into the range that a lot of people had him falling into, the 19 range. They got him. But we was able to get this guy, and I'm fine with that. You know, I'm not going to downplay Kancey just because he with the Bucks. I still think Kancey going to be a dog. But hopefully not against us. Not against us. You know, and hopefully he's not playing a huge part in the division. I don't want him to play well against us, but I do got to, you know, give respect to him. I think he's going to be a dog in this league. But Breesy, he can also be a dog in this league as well. But I said Falsky. Like I said, he was an interesting pick once it happened. Shout out to Dolph. Dolph brought up this guy's name on the last show, and I had told him I didn't really scout this guy like that, so I really couldn't answer his question on that. But obviously, Dolph had been doing some scouting on this guy, and it pretty much has pleased him if he brought his name up. So I'm gonna read a few stats from this guy. This guy, he was also compared to Marcus Davenport in a lot of his combine performances. His combine performances, I seen on Twitter somebody had put up their stats, their combine results, and it's very similar. Very similar. This guy, he's 6'5", 264. Marcus Davenport is similar in size and weight. The 40-yard dash, both of them ran a 4.58. His vertical 34. Davenport's was right there in the same range. Yeah, so they showed on all of that. It was a lot of similarities with these guys. But we know with Marcus Davenport, we definitely hope that the result don't pan out the same way it done with Davenport as with this guy. But let me go ahead and get to some information on him provided by Bleacher Report once again. You know, I don't want to take full credit like I done all this scouting. You know, I'm gonna give respect what respect is due. Shout out to Bleacher Report. He was projected to go late first, early second round. Early second round was us. We got him. Some positives from this guy. I will mention he did have back-to-back double-digit sack season. So that's a great thing. That shows that he can get to the quarterback, you know, and provide some sacks. Hopefully that translates. This guy was a defensive end. So it's possible that we can have a defensive tackle and a defensive end that we didn't have going into this draft. And it also says a lot about Payton Turner. Payton Turner, they definitely don't view this guy. I'm going to go that far. They don't see this guy as a starter going into this season. Or better yet, it's up for grabs, that defensive end spot, opposite Cam Jordan. So Payton Turner, he's going to have to work for it. Nothing is going to be given to him. That pick definitely showed that nothing is going to be given to him. He showed flashes when he's healthy, but he's been hurt a lot of times, and it's starting to look like another Marcus Davenport story all over again. With this guy, this Falsky guy, as far as him being injured, that was not a huge thing that he had in Notre Dame, so that's a positive. That's a positive with this guy. And let's read some good things about him. He's physical at the point of attack and takes on blocks with good leverage. So that means he's also, if he's able to take on blocks with good leverage, that means that in the run game, you know, he's pretty decent at that well. But he was very known as just getting to the quarterback. He's also good with using his hands. That's another good trait. I'm not going to say as good as Breesy. Breesy, they said this guy had elite hand utilization. So not going to go that far. I said his was as good as his, but he had good hand usement. He's a good bull rusher, power rusher. If we look at Cam Jordan is also, it's times when he used that bull rush move. Cam Jordan is also good at that, where he can drive that offensive tackle into the backfield. You know, at times you can't always just, just trying to get past the offensive tackle. Sometimes you just got to bull rush into him and just create that space for your linebacker to operate, or if you stunting, if you driving, trying to drive your tackle, if you're able to be successful bull rushing, your offensive tackle, and just say a stunt move was called, that play. Your defensive end bull rush while your 3 technique or your other defensive tackle stunt, that'll be a successful play. Now your defensive tackle can get back there to the quarterback faster. So that'll be a good thing if he's able to bring that bull rushing, power rushing trait into the NFL. Swipes at the ball and goes for the strip. So this guy was good at, just trying to tip drill with the ball, trying to swat the ball down. If you remember a few years back in 2017, definitely our defensive front was good at just swatting the ball down. Hopefully we can get back to that, because this guy 6'5", Cam Jordan 6'4", Brucey is 6'6", so we got some length on the defensive line, so our guys can get their hands up. If just say they don't win the match, there's other ways you can affect, the play. Just stick your hands up. So he doing that. He goes for the strips. That's a good thing to have. Good instincts against the run. Like I said, he was able to take on blocks. So that's some good running game instincts. He's able to, be a good run stop as well. Fights to the whistle. Has the ability to develop finesse moves. That's some negatives that they said about this guy. He doesn't have a lot of moves under his belt that he uses. He just had 1 or 2 moves. They were successful at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not a trash conference. Notre Dame was, playing ranked ball club, so the competition was there. Maybe he can get some more tricks on his sleeve that he can develop coming into the league. But he needs to work on being more. That's a few things a few negatives that they said. Needs to work on the being more. It's a defensive end. If you're able to bend very well, that's a great trait to have as well. If you can get underneath the offensive tackle, just bend your way around him, that's a great trait to have. It's a defensive end. Something hopefully he can develop. Passing from working out of a 3-point stance against the run. This guy, he operated on a 2-point stance, standing up. He wasn't always down in a 3-point stance. I believe that's something that's going to have to change, especially on running downs. So hopefully, he can give as much performance as much as performance in a 3-point stance as he can in a 2-point stance. Because usually when a guy in a 2-point stance, you just rushing the passer, but we're going to need him to, have 3-point stance, be able to operate stance, in these early downs when they're running the football. Okay, not a forceful tackle and will lose ground when contacting physical running backs. Now that's something that he definitely gonna have to work on right there. Not saying that it happened all the time, but this is something that stood out to a lot of scouts. I just looked at a lot of scouts saying this about this guy. So the tackling is gonna have to improve. You can recognize the run game, you can win your matchup, but when it's time to make the tackle, you're gonna have to make the tackle. It's good to win your opponents against the offensive tackle. You can do this and this, but when it's time to tackle, you're gonna have to be able to tackle. In this league, in this game, especially the division, look who we're about to be going up against. Now, know that the Bucs, not very athletic quarterbacks, but we got Bryce Young. I need to see more from him, but he can use his feet all right. But that's something that we're gonna have to work on with Falsky. But once again, shout out to Falsky, man. Let me get back to these comments, see if anybody had any thoughts on Falsky. Let's see. Let's see. Miss Anna said our defensive line was our weakest link. You're right, Miss Anna. Definitely was the weakest link. Shout out to TBN Snake Bite said, "Sup, who that nation? Who that nation?" Welcome this guy in. What's good with you, Snake Bite? Welcome to the podcast. He said, "Got some red beans in the slow cooker. Hope you're having a good Sunday." Hey, fam, that's a good thing to have in the slow cooker. I hope you enjoy that, man. You said red beans. You talking about red beans, but yeah, man, that's definitely a good dish to have, man. So enjoy that. I'm eating Jamaican food tonight. You know, really hadn't had Jamaican food in a while, so definitely go enjoy that, fam. But shout out for tuning in. So let's go ahead and get to the next candidate. Shout out to Kendre Miller in the 3rd round, 71st pick. This is who the New Orleans Saints selected. Kendre Miller, running back out of TCU. TCU, you guys know, made it to the national. So this guy definitely had some good coverage on national television, playing the national championship. He was projected to go in the 4th round. He's 5'11", 215 pounds. He didn't participate in on-field drills at the combine. So really, can't tell his combine results. But I will say he made an interesting comment when he was getting interviewed by the Saints staff and media. He said, "With all due respect to AK, I'm coming for that number 1 spot." Hey, it's good to respect AK, but coming for that number 1 spot, you definitely gonna have to fit some things. Because if you coming for that number 1 spot, you would have been selected higher, on this list. But anyway, things can change once you come into the league. I definitely don't see you taking AK's spot, but you definitely can have a inroad within this offense, along with, special teams. We do know AK suspension is coming. Hopefully it don't come, but I'm going to just embrace it as if some type of suspension is coming. So Jamal Williams will be that lead back. If AK is suspended, hopefully this guy can step up during training camp, give us some good performances, good practices, good preseason, and they're able to utilize this guy. This is I say, of course, round 1 and 2, but I think round 3, that's a round that if you pick through that round, you're expected, I'm not going to say to be a starter, but you're expected to be a part of the rotation. They're looking at you to become a part of the rotation, possibly starting, if you can have a good camp. But rounds 1 and 2, you're expected to be in the starting rotation. So with this guy, we'll read some trades. He had great acceleration and top end speed. Looking at some of this guy's highlights, you can definitely see that he has great burst. When he get out in the open field, he has top end speed. So when he get in space, it's hard to catch this guy. Now, I don't know what that results in as far as the 40. Like I said, 40-yard dash. That's important to an extent. You've had guys running 4.6s and stuff, getting into the lead, and they looking. That's just like AK. His 40 was like a 4.56. So it's on the bottom end of the 4.5s. And we see what AK doing in this league now. He has enough speed to get the job done. Do he have breakaway speed? It's all right. He definitely not back to leave defenders 20 yards behind, but he got enough speed to, get 40, 50-yard gains, enough acceleration. So the 40-yard dash, it comes to, a limit. It comes to an extent. It's good. But he has above average lateral quickness. So he's able to, shift left to right good enough. And he also has great toughness as a runner. He runs angry with the football. But some negatives with this guy, he's too patient a lot of the times running the football. It's good as a running back to be patient with the football, patient in the backfield, but at the same time, you don't want to be too patient. When you're too patient, the gaps up. Issue in college. Just imagine what's going to happen when you come into the league. The league, these gaps is going to close quickly. You're rarely going to get situations where holes is just opening up and it's there just waiting on you to come through. When the holes open up, you got to get on it ASAP or it's going to quickly close, especially in this league. So if he's having trouble with that, you're going to have to fix that. That has a lot to do with vision as well. Patience and vision, it goes hand in hand. It's something it's going to take some time to develop. But when you see the hole hit it, you know, you got to be patient enough to allow holes to open. Now, when you're running the ball certain times, you just got to use your skill set. Sometimes you're going to have to make something happen. Because holes always aren't going to be created where you just follow the yellow brick road. It doesn't always happen like that. You got these great defensive linemen. It doesn't always occur like that. So sometimes you got to make something happen. There was times, you know, on your highlight where you just made it happen. But when this hole's created and you're going to have to depend on that a little bit, you got to take advantage of that. You got to take advantage. No too patient of a runner, none of that. Too often stops his feet. So that tells me when you're making contact with a lot of defenders, you know, you're not chopping your feet, trying to get additional yards. And they say this guy has the skill set to do that, but obviously when you take contact, you're not really having that grit to keep on fighting, chopping your feet, you know, trying to shed tackles. You're gonna need that in this league. You're gonna need that in our offense to be a part of the rotation. That's something that Jamal Adams have. Excuse the name, Jamal Williams. He has that, and we know AK has it. So hopefully this guy can bring that to the ball club. That's pretty much all I have on the guy. But once again, I will say that this guy played in the national championship, so he got some good exposure. Okay, so let's see. Anybody have any comments on him? Miss Anna said, don't forget AK was a third rounder. Absolutely, Miss Anna. He definitely was a third rounder. And just watching this guy, man, his upside, well, his positives was very good. Very good. He wasn't going up against no slaps teams. You got to consider that when you're dealing with college prospects. Some is able to, it don't matter what type of competition you're going up against. Like, he really liked that. If you put Bryce Young in a Division III college and he dominate, and you put him back in Alabama, that's who he is. You got a lot of guys like that in these lower competition schools. But just for an example, a guy like Adam Troutman, he was a guy that dominated his college career, dominated. Had very minimum negatives about him coming out of college. But we seen once he got up against some competition, he wasn't able to hold his end of the bargain. That's why we traded him up out of here. So Sean Payton, you definitely can have fun with him. I'm very confident in our guys that we have now, Jawan and Taysom at tight end. Okay, so that'll wrap it up for Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller, welcome to the WDN. Provide us, man, with some good services. Looking forward to seeing you work. And our last draft pick of the night, once again, I told you I'm just doing 4 for the night, and then the rest of the draft pick I do at a later time next week. But 4th round draft pick comes in Nick Saldiveri, offensive lineman out of Old Dominion. This guy, he played offensive tackle, right tackle, his whole time there, with the exception of, I think, 2 to 3 games he played guard. So I don't know the coaching staff vision for this guy is where they slide him inside and allow this guy to become a guard. What is their vision of Andrew Pete? Do they see this guy potentially coming in and possibly taking? Now, I'm not gonna say take his job, but sliding to that position, and maybe you trade Andrew Pete. Because think about Andrew Pete, man, he hasn't been healthy as of late. I mean, he's always been dealing with injuries, but as of late, he definitely has been out, and we know he has a steep cap hit. We have a lot of cap hit situations. Mickey has been able to overcome it, but can't always just utilize the just flexing contracts and putting void years. Some of the times, and Mickey has done that. Some of the times you got to just trade away. You got to cut. That's why they asked Jameis. His cap hit was steep, so he had to take a pay cut or leave. Man, just Pete, he's good enough to start when he's healthy, of course. But with the cap hit he got and the availability he has given us, as of late, it doesn't match what the cap hit. So you're gonna have to make a decision. If this guy comes in and plays exceptionally well, has a hell of a preseason, and what I'm thinking they're going to do is slide him to guard and see what he can do at guard. And if he can play well at guard, then I think they're going to do away with Andrew Pete via trade. Or if they can save money by doing a June 1st, doing that June 1st cut, where they can save some money, where after June 1st, after June 1st, they'll get his whole portion. But if you do it before June 1st, they can save something. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do it like that or if they're going to keep Andrew Pete one more year. I don't know what the plan is, but this is early for the Saints getting an offensive lineman. This midway through the draft. I see Ramchek staying on the offensive line this year. I see Payton, after he's a first-round pick. Ruiz, he's going to be in the final year of his deal. So could that possibly be a scenario? We'll see. Andrew Pete is in year 3 or 4. I believe this is year 4 of his deal. Yes, this is year 4 of Ruiz. So he have this year and then he have next year. I don't know what's the plan with that. But somewhere at guard, a decision is going to have to be made. And I'm thinking it's more leaning towards Andrew Pete because he hasn't been able to provide us availability on the offensive line, which we heavily needed. So let me read a little bit about this guy. This kid in a weaker conference compared to the other guys. The other guys, Notre Dame, Clemson, TCU. These guys got national exposure. Old Dominion College really didn't get too much, if any, national exposure. This guy, 6'6", 318. I told you he played right tackle. At the combine, he ranked in the top 10 in the 20-yard shuttle, the broad jump, and the vertical. The 20-yard shuttle was a 4.69. His 40-yard dash was a 5.21. The 20-yard shuttle, that's a good how do you say it? That's a good drill. Yeah, that's a good drill for an offensive lineman because that shows, can the guy pull? How fast is he at pulling? How fast is he at pulling on screen blocking, getting downfield to block? How fast he can get to the second level if needed? How fast he can get off the football if he had to go to the second level. That shows a lot of that in them shuttles. And, of course, you're 40. So this guy, very athletic, good athletic ability, lateral quickness and recovery. So lateral quickness side to side, he's quick at that. So that means he's an exceptional pass protector. They got him as a skilled pass protector, good at cutting off inside counters. So guys wanting to counter inside, shoot inside, get inside, push, he's good at, taking care of that. And once again, the competition that he was going up against wasn't on no TCU, Ohio State type competition. But he was good at doing this. Able to bend well to get on the bull rushes. Regardless if you're playing at Ohio State or if you're playing at Old Dominion, you playing at schools in their conference. If you're able to get under somebody that's bull rushing, I believe you can hold your own against the best of them in these big schools. So that's just a natural skill trait that you have. You have the ability to get underneath these bends, get underneath these bull rushes. That's a great trait to have. He has loose hips and quick feet. Loose hips and quick feet. That's another great trait to have. Easy move on pulls and screens. So he's able to pull well, and he's able to move on screen passes. Just to note, Andrew Pete was an exceptional screen protector. He was straight, and he was exceptional at getting to that second level on the run blocks as well. So I said, if they want to do away with Pete, if this guy can show that he can come in and, play exceptionally well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Negatives, this guy really didn't have too many negatives. I believe what hurt this guy as far as his draft stock, of course it rose. They said this guy stock rose, especially after the combine, but I think it was just the competition he was going up against. That kind of what hindered him from being, within, I'm not going to say a first round, but, within at least between the second and third round tops. But the negatives they did put out, they said he got average arm lengths, allowed some defenders to establish first contact, and that's just due to, I guess his arm length. His arm length is not the longest, but he's able to utilize his hands very good. So he can, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, regardless of what level you're on. Nobody 100% on their matchups. That has never happened in the history of sports, especially football. And besides that, it said the base can get wide at times on drive blocks. So really not too much he needs to work on. Hopefully he's like that. Hopefully he's just going to have to show that he can utilize these traits against better competition. So if he can show us that, he can have us exceptional preseason with these drills going up against the Cam Jordans and he's going to be going up against Breesy and Tano and all these guys. If he can show he can hang with them, he can give us some pretty good looks at guard. We need it. The injury bug was atrocious last year on the offensive line. And also another thing to note out, he was invited to the Senior Bowl and played very well at the Senior Bowl. Played very well. So shout out to this guy, man. Shout out to all of our draft picks. All of our draft picks come in, provide us good services. Once again, just wanted to give you guys the first 4 draft picks. Before I get off, let me put this link in the comment. We'll put the link in the comment. See if you guys can call in. Just give me your thoughts and opinions on these. If my internet is acting up, I'll just have another, I'll do another show where we just have a call-in show and you guys can, call in. But I'm going to try it out. So you guys, please call in, man. Give me your thoughts and opinions on the picks. Therefore, let me get back to the comments and read a few while I'm waiting. Miss Anna said, don't forget. Yeah, I read that one. Snake, but I'm glad we did Trout for another wide receiver. Yeah, man, Troutman, like I mentioned, if you looked at his highlight reel at the college he was at, man, it showed, he definitely was showing us good promise. But obviously, he was just able to dominate off of weak competition. But when he came into contact with guys that was on his level, just as good or better than him, he wasn't able to utilize. Capitalize on none of that. His rookie year, he had a exceptional rookie year. I'm gonna be honest, his rookie year was good. We was wanting to get Jared Cook up out of here. We was calling for Jared Cook's head. Get Jared Cook benching. Start Troutman. Then after year one, everything just started going downhill. So Miss Anna said, "Oh yeah, Troutman gone. Oh yeah, Troutman gone. He up out of here. Sean can deal with that because they know Pete won't make the season." You're right, Miss Anna. I believe that pick got a lot to do with possibly just hopefully he come in and plays well and can put Pete on the hot seat to get up out of here. Miss Anna said, "Thanks, y'all. Gotta run. See y'all next time." Who that? Appreciate you for tuning in, Miss Anna. Appreciate you for tuning in. And I just want to apologize to everyone for the late notice. I was scheduled to get on last night, but I just popped up today when I had time. So apologies for that. Also, let me get to Whitley Jeremiah. Shout out to you. You said, "What's your thoughts about our team schedule for the 2023 season CB?" Honestly, I have to go back and look at the schedule, but I will say, what's a few teams that I know we play the Titans. We play the Titans, and I'm gonna be honest. I gotta just look back on our schedule because off the gate, I can't tell you who we play outside the division. But let me get the OG Jerry Poor on. Let's see. OG Jerry Poor, what's good with you, fam?
What up, CB? Who that to you?
Hold on 1 second. Okay, here we go. We got the OG in the building. Who that to you, fam? What's good?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, fam.
All right. So far with this draft, CB, I love it. But some of them caught me by surprise, especially on Saturday when we got traded up by two teams, the one to start off and the other one for later. And that was Chicago traded their pick to us, and then later Jacksonville traded their pick to us. I mean, that was some bold moves right there, bruh.
Right.
Yep. And that was good. And that was good because we needed another offensive tackle, which was good, and we needed another I don't know if it was safety or whoever else. Oh, a quarterback in the 4th round also. So that was some real bold moves right there, man.
Right. Feel you on that. We definitely address some positional needs, and then for us, a few of the picks, with just some depth moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we was in a need for a running back. I mean, we did need somebody just in case AK gets suspended.
Yeah. And I was really looking at Spears coming to us, but Houston snatched him. So I'm good with that running back with TCU that we got. So Kendrick Miller.
All right. Hopefully, he can come in and perform. Some good services. I don't know how much actually
depending on the Kamara situation. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he can definitely provide us some special teams, as well. When AK is there, he can definitely utilize himself on special teams. So, with all these picks, hopefully they come in. But I just want to ask you, what's your thoughts on our 1st round pick? Because the 1st round pick, they're expected to be out there day one, without a doubt. So, what's your thoughts on 1st round pick, Brian Breesy?
To be honest with you, I like that pick. But really, to be honest with you, CB, I was really looking at Marty Smith or Miles Murphy, but Dallas picked up Smith, and Cincinnati picked up Murphy. So hey, with this Breezy guy that we got from Clemson, I like it. I mean, that was one of the needs we needed in the first round was somebody on the defensive line, like a defensive tackle or something like that. And Breezy was one of them. So that was a very big need for us because you're gonna need somebody like because the people that we lost is going to different teams. Like Shuttle went to Carolina, Davenport went to Minnesota. Yada and Ellis, they went to Atlanta. So you need somebody to step up to the plate. And I think that guy right there we got in the first round is a good pick.
Right. I agree with you. I saw him play inside, but I thought a team was going to try to utilize him on the outside. So when we got him at first, I was like, "Ooh, he might be on the outside." But once we got Falsky down, that kind of told me that they're going to utilize him in the inside, have Falsky on the outside. But, yeah, man, they dressed up my room.
Yeah, also you got to think about it because Cam Jordan ain't gonna get no younger. I mean, the dude's about 30-something right now, and you're gonna need somebody. You're gonna need somebody that can step up.
Right. I will say I'm gonna ask you one question. One more question. Do you think it's over for Payton Turner? Do you think he still got a chance to be a starter? You think they done gave up on him as to being a starter?
TV, under one condition, the man got to stay healthy. The man got to stay healthy. That's the one thing I want out of this guy. Because, playing a few games is all right, but I want that full season of Payton Turner. But because the last couple of years, it didn't show me anything. Unless he proved me wrong and stay healthy. That's the only answer I can give you, CB. If the man can stay healthy and play better. Now you got more depth in the defensive line, so you're going to need that. So Payton really needs to step up to the plate, really. Because staying on the sideline and being injured ain't going to help.
Right. That's a fact. And I'm glad that they just didn't take that gamble and just took the chance on them again. I'm glad. I'm pretty sure the door's still open for him to compete and possibly be a starter. I know with the Falsky pick, it's just not a given that he's gonna, come in and be a starter. But I believe they see him as being a starter, but he gotta come in and prove it along with Breezy. But we know usually the first round picks is coming in start right away, especially given the lack of depth and the players we have right now on the defensive line. Definitely see Breezy coming in to start, and I see Falsky coming in as well. I'm glad they just didn't put the bank on Payton Turner coming in being healthy and going with that. No, they addressed it. You gonna play, come in, compete, and I thought it's paying off.
Right.
But any final thoughts, friend, for you head on out?
Nah, man. The only thing I can say is I like all the picks that we got in the draft, and OTA is coming up soon, and training camp's coming up, so the schedule release coming up in a couple of weeks, so let's see what happens going forward, right.
Fast, fam. Well, I definitely appreciate you for tuning in tonight, man. Like I said, apologies for just popping up.
That's all right, bro.
I seen Dolph getting on. I seen Big Q getting on. So shout out to those fellas.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna, check out their content, see what they talking about with the picks. But yeah, man, we just gotta wait and see. Hopefully, all of our picks pan out well for us.
Right.
I want to thank you for calling in, fam. And who that to you, fam?
And who that to you, CB? And shouts out to WD and Uptown. Much love to you, fellas.
Right. Appreciate you, fam. You have a good one.
You too. Be blessed. Who that?
Who that?
For life.
All right, who that nation? Never show up. Once again, you guys please like, subscribe, follow the page. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Once again, it's just the first 4 picks that I want to go over today. Later on this week, I will give you guys, the remaining picks. Maybe pick out a few undrafted guys. And really, the list I looked at is 1 or 2 guys that I think could come in and stand out every single year, especially with our Saints. We've had an undrafted free agent that steps in, comes in, step up, and look what happened last year with Rashid. Now he's going into this season. He's expected to be having a huge role at receiver. Not as a starter, they still gonna be Mike and Olave, but him being a part of the wide receiver role, he's earned himself that. He's a huge part of our offense now. So to all the draft picks, man, never say you don't know what you can, come in and do. Stay focused, come in. You never know. You could take somebody's spot. You can come in and take a veteran guy's spot if you come in and, you grind, you eat, show that you with it. You never know. But I'm going to read this last comment and then we're going to wrap this show up. Let me get back to the comment. Whitley Jeremiah said, have a good evening, bro. And who that for life. I hope our team come together for a win. For all the 2023 season, God's plans only. Yeah, fam. Definitely appreciate you for tuning in. Who that nation. You guys like, subscribe, follow the page. And until next time, it's the WDN Chatline podcast. And I'm out. Who that?